Okay, welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. We had a little bit of issues at first. I will admit. I thought that we were going live. We did a little bit of a show. Not gonna lie, we had some people in the chat asking what happened. Shout out Coco Diaz. Thank you for the help. We're gonna get the show started here. We're gonna talk about LSU football recruiting. We got a couple of recruiting updates for you. We got a couple of transfer portal updates, and we got a couple of topics that we're just gonna spitball and see what's going on in the college football world. So let me know if anything happens during the stream. Let me know if there's any delays, any connection problems, anything going on. But without further ado, LSU recruiting update. They're the number 6 class in 2025 per 24/7. They're the number 2 class per On3. And, I could go on and on about why the rankings are different, why some players are ranked higher than others. And all in all, why I wouldn't get caught up in the team rankings. Now, LSU in 2025 does have a phenomenal class. Whether it be number 6, whether it be number 1, whether it be number 2, doesn't change. All the players are still in there. I wouldn't get caught up on where they're at. If they finish in the top 5, it would be great, but it's all meticulous at this point, and it's all going to be contingent on what Mr. Dakorien Moore does. I know everyone's heard about the situation. We got a little bit of new information on it, and we'll kind of dive deep into that one here shortly. I'll preview the stream for you and what we're going to be talking about afterwards. We're going to do a little bit of a transfer portal update. I got some 2026 recruiting updates as well. I know it's a little early, but hey, we're going to get active. Then we got some early odds as well. Some overreactions to the college football playoff odds according to Vegas, SEC conference odds according to Vegas, and Heisman odds as well. First thing I want to say, though, we're going to go live every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday at around 11 o'clock. Hopefully there's no technology difficulties going forward. That's one of the hardest things going live, I'll be honest, is getting all the equipment going, getting everything on the same page. It looks like we got it going right now. Fingers crossed. But the plan is to go live 3 times a week. Throughout this summer. We might change up the days and the times once we get to the season because of school. But all in all, we're going to enter that daily content format, and we'll be delivering. And, y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like on the stream as well. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know what you want to see, because I'll be pretty open to suggestions. And I think listening to the viewers and the comments and all is only helpful. So let me know what y'all think. And another thing I do want to have y'all on the lookout for, we have another Madden interview coming through. I know some people might be confused. Madden interviews, what's going on? Why are you playing a game with players? Well, had to change some things up. You can't just sit on the couch with everybody forever. So I think this will be a new, fun, fresh dynamic. And we're going to kind of approach this entire channel with that angle as well. But let's start into this recruiting update. I do want to talk about Dakorien Moore, and I know that everybody thinks they know, what's going on with Dakorien, and thinks that they understand, well, Dakorien needs to do this or that or what have you. Well, let me just give you a little bit of an update. He's got 3 visits coming up. Of course, he says his recruitment is not particularly wide open. He doesn't want all kind of people talking to him, but in a sense of him not necessarily deciding where he wants to go, it is open. He'll be visiting Oregon, Ohio State, and, of course, hometown alma mater of Texas. And I think the main thing with this is this is NIL leverage. Now, here's the question if you're Dakorien Moore. Are you going to play college football to get paid now or later? Is your goal playing college football to make the $1 million in your freshman year and live off of it for the rest of your life and potentially, just have that NIL buffer? Is that the goal, or is it to get the $25 million plus guaranteed that Malik Neighbors gets, or to be able to be drafted in a spot like a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson? I mean, LSU, I think, throughout the last few years, has proven that their development, their coaching staff, and their overall culture is beneficial to a personal brand. I mean, if you look at the recent names, let's throw out Joe Burrow. I mean, we'll put Jaden Daniels in there. We'll put Angel Reese in there. Completely different sport, but brand is booming. We'll put in Olivia Dunn. LSU, I think, is going to be the mecca of NIL. I mean, there's a lot of arguments and points and cases to be made for what LSU brings to the table comparatively to other schools. Yeah, you got the world-class institution. You got the world-class education. You got the great facilities. You got the highest-paid analyst, highest-paid football coach, and you got all kind of things to lure in players. But I think the best of them all, which tops the NIL, is the fact that they're able to develop players that play on Sundays. I think every college football player, every high school football player, every recruit in general, and most kids, their end goal is to be an NFL player. Now, while some people, might have a more realistic chance of being NFL players than others, I think in a Dakorien Moore sense, he's reached that point where he realizes more than likely he's going to be in a situation where he can capitalize and reach his lifelong goal. Now, how do you do that? Do you do it at Texas and potentially be a late first rounder? I mean, if all things go right, he could reach his potential. And I'm not going to diminish Texas by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they just had a wide receiver who broke the 40-yard dash record. So that's, pretty notable. Shout out Isaiah Worthy. But I think, in terms of wide receiver you and just looking at overall personnel and looking at the coaching staff there to help develop you, it's kind of hard to ignore what happened with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas last year. What's going to happen with Kyron Lacey and Chris Hilton this year. Then you can throw in Jane Daniels in the mix as well. And honestly, I'll even dial it back all the way to Joe Burrow. There's two major quarterbacks and / players in LSU history that have completely changed their life. Where in year one, everyone was wondering what's going on and questioning whether or not he's even going to be the guy. To the second year, third year plus, in Joe Burrow's instance, people want a statue made of the man. So my point being is that LSU holds a special place in a lot of athletes' heart just simply because if Dakorien comes to LSU, has the tutelage of Cortez Hankton, learns from Joe Sloan, has quarterbacks like Garrett Nussmeier and different guys to rub off on, whether it be a Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, C.J. Daniels, you got all kind of people. You got all kind of talent. And you got all kind of ability to be developed. I think that just simply can't be ignored. Yeah, staying home, staying at Texas, leveraging the NIL, it might be a good decision for now. But when you're making these decisions, sometimes delayed gratification might be the way to go. Sometimes, swallowing the NIL. And I'm not even saying he ain't gonna make anything. What Coach Kelly's saying in terms of not wanting to pay players is not saying that they don't want to share the wealth or they don't want to, give players their worth. What they're saying is they, like what Coco Diaz said in the chat, they only want absolute dogs. They don't want people who are going to be, just worried about the money, just worried about, I'm this, I'm that, I'm famous, all this stuff. No, you want guys who are on a championship mindset. You want guys who are all going to be able to be on the same page, building each other. The team's only as strong as the weakest link. You can't have people coming in here thinking that they already made it, that they're getting paid, they're professional athletes, and they don't have to do the hard work. I think Coach Kelly's doing the right thing. A lot of people overreacted and see that and like, LSU's not going to get anybody. They're not doing NIL right. Says who? I mean, Coach Kelly in the last couple of years has done phenomenal in the SEC when multiple people said he wouldn't. Everyone's questioning whether or not Coach Kelly's going to be able to recruit in the South because he's a Northerner. Because he comes down in the PMAC and grabs a microphone and does a fake Southern accent, or he dances with a recruit on a 360 camera. It's like those things don't matter in the long run. What matters is the 2 double-digit win seasons. What matters is the first year SEC appearance, developing a Heisman-winning quarterback. And I think that the potential number one recruiting class, at least for 2025, is another feather in the cap waiting to be added. Brian Kelly's in a situation now where what he has to do is show everybody this is how it is. We've got a championship level staff. We've got the ability to develop you, make a plan, and have you reach your potential. If you want to be the best you possible, if you want to play football in the NFL on Sundays and not have it be not for long, a 3-4 year career, if you want to be a 10-year legend winning rings and being talked about like Jamar Chase and Jay Jettas and all this stuff, this is the place for you. This is the place where you reach your potential, you sit there, you grind, and you get that delayed gratification. Yeah, sure, do you have people blow up relatively quickly? Of course, Harold Perkins came here and was a star within a few months. But I do think that the overreaction in terms of people wondering where the NIL money is going, this, that, the third, in this instance with Dakorien Moore, I don't think it's the end of the world because you got other wide receiver targets. You got guys like Khalil Lockett, the number 2 wide receiver in the 25 class from Texas. You got Caleb Cunningham, the number 3 wide receiver from Mississippi. You got guys right by the boot who could potentially have that mind frame. What I was getting at earlier in terms of the class is that if you're the number 6 class versus the number 1 class, they're both very good recruiting classes. It's only a difference of maybe an extra star or two that separates these guys. And the grades, I guess is what I'm getting at, is I wouldn't break the bank for one particular player when you could potentially have a player with a difficult mindset who might not benefit to the team as if, two other players for that price would. And I get what Coach Kelly is saying. The NIL is not the end-all be-all. That's not the first strategy. That's not going to be the thing that they use to harp kids in, because that is how you get yourself in a rough spot. Let's go back and dial it back and look at teams that have had tough times and trouble in the transfer portal. Texas A&M. The head coach that's recruiting all those guys, and that is recruiting the transfers isn't even there anymore in Jimbo Fisher. So I feel like that's a little interesting situation. I think Dakorien Moore, great athlete, great talent. Pairing him with Bryce Underwood and Harlan Berry will be phenomenal. But if he's going to be focused on, just getting the right nows, just getting the situation that's going to benefit him, I understand it. I respect it. And I just think, simply put, what Coach Kelly's saying and the message he's sending might be that if you want, the biggest check, if you want the biggest offer, we're not going to give it, because what we do is we develop people from point A to point B. If you think that you're already, past point A and you don't need us for point B, so be it. Do what you got to do. It's a personal decision. And I think that the decision being made does reflect a little bit of the player and does give BK and the staff a glimpse of what they need. I think that if you don't take the biggest offer and you go take the best opportunity, it shows that you're ready to develop into the talent and hit your potential. And that's what LSU wants to harness. LSU wants the guys ready to work. They don't want the guys who think, they need the reward and they need to reap the benefits from their work already. And then nothing is wrong with that. Players do need to get compensated. I'll be the first to tell you, NIL is awesome. I'm glad that Jaden Daniels and Angel Reese and all these people are getting paid. They deserve to get paid. The universities are getting paid. But what Coach Kelly is saying is that if that is the only thing you're worried about, if you're going to judge your entire career decisions, all your college decisions on who's giving me the most money, might not be a good fit. Might not be a good fit. And I do understand them. A lot of people are wondering, like, oh, well, why is Brian Kelly saying this? Is LSU going to be able to compete? Is LSU going to be able to do this or that? Watch. I think LSU is going to do much more than compete. They're going to win. Because when you're getting winners in a room, it's kind of hard to not expect that to continue. When you're getting people that are worried about themselves, when you're getting people that are, like what Tom Brady said in that meeting with Jay-Z, with all the NFL rookies, a lot of people in the social media era, whether it be because of NIL, whatever, it's me. It's not the team. And it's all right. It is a change, though. And you do have to find the guys who are not on that. That's my thought. Transfer portal news. Of course, everyone knows LSU missed on Dominique Williams and Simeon Barrow, but they did get Javier Suggs from Grand Valley State. Javier's a pretty good guy, 6'3", 280+ pounds. He's got a big frame. And, I think that he's going to be a pretty interesting add. Everyone's wondering about the D-line. Everyone's wondering about the pressure. I think the guys that LSU has in this room are not any pushovers, though. Whether it be Jacoby Gilroy, Savion Jones, Braden Swinson, Deshaun Womack. You got some guys, and Parashan, too. I'm not going to forget him. You can throw these guys out there. You got the Wisconsin transfer. Now you got Grand Valley State's transfer. You got a couple of pieces you're adding. Everyone can now kind of relax and be settled, I think. But nothing too big in terms of additions, because I think most of LSU's portal grabs came before spring ball, which I'd rather that than not, simply just because they got time to gel into the scheme. They were able to, do their roles. They were able to learn. They didn't just get thrown into the mix in the summer. These transfers that are coming in later, they're not going to be far behind, but it's not ideal. It is better late than never, though, I will say. So I'll highlight that positive here real quick. Let's flash forward to 2026 recruiting. I know everyone's like, man, 2026? We got to worry about 2025 first. I mean, we're already in 2024. This man's jumping ahead 2 years. Yeah, we're going to do things early here. I'm looking at Jakeem Stewart, D-lineman from St. Aug, number 1 D-line in the country, number 1 Louisiana recruit in his class, and the number 10 national prospect. This guy from St. Aug, that's St. Aug. He could be a staple. Simply put, he could be a staple in that defensive room. I think that's a must for Bo Davis and Blake Baker and Brian Kelly. I'll name them all. It's a must for them. They got to go down to St. Aug. They got to go to that New Orleans area, and they got to recruit and keep him home. because that'll be a valuable piece. Another valuable piece, not in the boot, but I still think we have a good chance. DJ Pickett, cornerback from Florida, #1 Florida recruit, #3 cornerback in the country, #8 nationally. Corner, I mean, we would love to have corner depth to throw in there with PJ Wheeler and Ashton Stamps and have them, forge them in the fire. I think DJ Pickett, getting recruited by someone like Corey Raymond is going to love LSU. He's going to love the situation. He's going to love the scheme. It's hard to not get hyped when Corey Raymond's pulling up to your house, your school, your state, and just asking you to come compete for the purple and gold. I think everyone knows if you're not going to agree that LSU's wide receiver U and DBU, then you can't deny that they're at least in the top 2. I'm not naming multiple schools over them in either. I think that does hold some weight for someone that is still in the South, but not necessarily in the boot. That's how you get these guys to commit and come to a school that's, hours away. You show them the track record. You show them, this is what I can do for you. These are the players that I coached in the big leagues. This is how much they got paid. This is what they did in college. And I think you fit that brand. You fit that scheme. This is your potential. Here's a plan. Boom. That path, that method, bulletproof. If you show a kid, I can get you to this in this amount of time, all you got to do is trust me, I feel like it's pretty hard to beat it, especially when you watch them do it with several other athletes in the past. I mean, if we're going to dial it back to the Dakorien Moore situation, if Cortez Hankton's coming into your house and saying, hey, man, you remind me of a Malik, you remind me of a Brian, hell, you remind me of me. All NFL caliber players, all players that played careers in the NFL. The last two, the more recent two, Malik and Brian, got paid roughly $15 to $20 million guaranteed just to play. That's a lot better than any NIL deal you'll get. I'll tell you that. I think sometimes, the strategy in recruiting might be more confusing than not. LSU's is cut and dry. It's simple. You want to be the best? Come be around the best. You want to reach your potential? Put yourself to the test and challenge yourself. Push yourself outside that comfort level, that comfort zone. I think that that's your main harping point if you're Brian Kelly and LSU, because you do have a lot to offer. You do have a lot. And if NIL is the #1 worry for someone like that, the upfront money, just talk about the eyes that are on the school and the way that it is able to develop others' brands in the past. I think that LSU's not in a situation where their fans need to question why Brian Kelly's recruiting this way, or why this is happening, or why this is happening. I think that they're in a spot where they're going to be pretty successful for a long time. Coach Kelly's recruiting class at 2026, I mean, even this 2025 class, let's look. Give them about 2 years to develop. We're in 2027. It's 3 seasons from now. I think LSU would already have had a national championship. I don't think Coach Kelly's seat gets hot past this season just simply because of the college football playoff berth. So he'll be able to roll into next year and continue to put down that foundation. A couple of these guys are going to return. I mean, if you got Garrett Nussmeier coming back, if you can somehow stop one of the tackles, whether it be Will or Emery, from going to get their well-deserved payday, you could have a squad that is almost guaranteed a run at a national title in year 4 under Brian Kelly, because year 3 is looking promising already. I'd guarantee LSU's in the college football playoff this year. Next year, if you retain and have a high return in production, you hit the portal hard, and the recruiting pieces that come in are successful and develop under these guys, LSU's going to be a program, a perennial powerhouse for a while. People are wondering, what are they going to do? How's Coach Kelly going to do? Are they going to be able to recruit? Are they going to be able to stay at the top of the SEC, especially with Texas and Oklahoma coming in? The answer is yes. Clear cut and simple. Does Vegas think that, though? Whole nother question. We'll dive into the odds here, and I'll kind of talk about them a little bit. College football playoff, LSU has the 7th best odds. Hey, lucky number 7. I'll take it as a blessing. The teams ahead of them, you ask? Number 1, y'all don't even want me to utter this word out of my mouth. Georgia at the top of the college football odds again for another year. It's like Vegas just doesn't know what to do, and they keep throwing out the Bulldogs. I mean, good night, give it a rest. Y'all really think Georgia's going to win a national championship? Leave it in the comments, because I don't. And I might be the biggest Georgia hater. I'm not trying to. I'm not even trying to doubt them. They're a great program. Kirby Smart's a phenomenal coach. He's probably one of the best coaches in college football in general. But really, Carson Beck? I don't know. I'm not all in on that one, Coach. I think that, the number 2 odds for Ohio State, number 3 for Texas, 4 for Oregon, 5 for Bama, 6 for Ole Miss, those might be better spots than Georgia. And in the SEC, if you heard what I mentioned, you got 4 other teams ahead of LSU in the CFP odds, which puts LSU at the 5th best odds for the SEC in its entirety. Georgia's ahead, Texas is ahead, Ole Miss is ahead, Bama's ahead. Put that into perspective for a second. Texas in year 1 in the SEC is ranked 2nd to win the entire conference. I think Quinn Ewers is a phenomenal athlete, but that's a bit of a tall ask for a team debuting in the SEC. Don't see Texas. And this, by the way, I need to note, the SEC title game this year is a lot different than the SEC title game in recent years. It's number 1 versus number 2. It's not Georgia gets an easy bid to the SEC title game because the East in the SEC is rough. Because they've beat a Kentucky, a Vanderbilt, a South Carolina, what have you. No. It's number 1 and number 2. And a lot of the more recent SEC title games that you've seen Georgia just get an automatic bid into almost, you would have rathered see a LSU Bama. You would have rathered potentially see, even maybe a LSU Auburn or Ole Miss or, whatever. The SEC title change, the seeding, the best team versus the second best team, that's where it needs to be. It doesn't need to be the West versus the East because simply clear cut, the West is so much better than the East. I mean, 4 of the top 5 teams favored to win the SEC are in the East. In the West. The only team in the East is Georgia. And it's laughable because, you got Carson Beck and you got a lot of people returning and you got a lot of that consistent depth. They've been able to grow and work, and Kirby Smart does have the culture that I'm trying to say that Brian Kelly's developing. But I just, one, I don't know if I can stomach another year at Georgia at the top of college football, going undefeated, potentially winning it all. But I just do not see Carson Beck being that guy. And if you look at the Heisman odds, Carson Beck's number 1 in terms of Heisman odds. Number 1 in national championship odds and number 1 in Heisman odds, followed by Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe, and of course Garrett Nussmeier at 7th again. Lucky number 7. LSU 7 best to win the Natty, 7 best to win the Heisman. It seems pretty, interesting that they're all related because I would think that the favorite would be Quinn Ewers. And I would think that, the season that he's going to have at Texas is not going to be a national championship run. I'll go ahead and kill Steve Sarkisian's dream already. I'm sorry, and I could have to eat these words, but I think Quinn could be the number 1 draft pick, and that's going to boost his Heisman odds. But all in all, if you got a team like an LSU, like in Alabama with Jalen Milroe, if you got a team that, is at the bottom of the odds, if you got a team that's being doubted, in the SEC, LSU's 5th, Bama's 4th, in the total odds, LSU's 7th, Bama's 5th again, if they go undefeated, if they go on a run, if their quarterbacks, pump up the stats, if Jalen Milroe has a 2-touchdown, rushing game average or what have you, he ran for 3 against us, so might be doubting them with just 2. Anyway, what I'm getting at is if those 2 players, Nuss, Milroe, even a Dylan Gabriel, if they pop off and go off like they could, like they probably will, those are going to be your finalists. I don't see a world where Carson Beck is in New York City as a Heisman finalist. Carson Beck would have to throw 35, 40 touchdowns for me to want to give him those flowers because of the scheduling. And I'm not saying Georgia has the biggest cupcake schedule in the world, but I'll give more credit to Garrett Nussmeier, Jalen Milroe, people of that nature, just because of who they're playing and how they're playing. Yeah, Georgia's going to play Bama, and they might have a little bit of a tougher schedule than usually. Everybody knows, though, the gauntlet that LSU and Bama and all these SEC West teams run. I think that my reaction to those odds are, I'll take LSU at number 7. I think it's good. I'd rather be number 7 than not. It's a 12-man playoff. They're saying we get a bid into the college football playoff, and they haven't even seen us play it down yet. I've seen the team play a little bit in the practice, and I think that the offense, in terms of, how it is now comparatively last year, you don't have Jaden. You might not have the 600-plus total guaranteed yards, but what you do have in Nussmeier is a calculated, poised quarterback who has been developed. He's not just a starter going into his first year like, oh, I'm new. I don't really know the ins and outs. I haven't been college ball for a while. He's been here for 3 years. He's redshirted. He sat under Jaden Daniels. He sat under Max Johnson. He's understood the scheme from its entirety, through and through, waited his time. This is the old style of college football players. You normally see a guy like Garrett Nussmeier enter the portal and go start somewhere else. So, Garrett, thank you. I mean, thank you for waiting your time. Thank you for going out and staying true to LSU. Thank you for what you're about to do this season. I don't think a lot of people are giving him credit for that. You know, being able to wait your turn in today's day and age when NIL and transfer portal offers are just chiming in and out of your ear every 10 days, every 10 seconds, what have you. You know, I think that his mindset and what he's going to possess and what he's going to do this year might shock a lot of people. You know, they got him 7th best Heisman odds. I'm not sitting here saying he's number 1, he's going to win. What I'm saying is I could see him be a finalist. LSU with the 7th best odds. I'm not saying they're number 1 or they're going to win. I can see them being in the top 4. I could see this not even having to be a 12-man playoff and LSU getting in. I think things are going to shake up for LSU here, and it all starts with week 1 of UFC, of course. USC, not Dana White, but shout out McGregor. But it all starts week 1 with USC. You know, their Lincoln Riley and this whole squad is not anybody to just discredit and just roll right over. And LSU in the last couple of years, 4 years to be exact, has had a hell of a time trying to get a win in week 1. So if they can go out and start 1-0, it's been one of the better starts in about half a decade. It'd be pretty hard for me not to sound the alarm bells and think that we're going to not only increase those plus 1,600 odds to win, but more than likely automatically guarantee a college football playoff. With 12-man playoff, it doesn't seem that hard to get in. I mean, last year they had a rough spot and a couple of rough Tim, and they finished 13th. I don't think that LSU's far off from that level. They're definitely entering championship caliber. I'd say if this is like the rankings and championship calibers right here, LSU would be like right here. And if they get another 10-win season, I'd go ahead and put them about right here. Not here yet. I'd have to see 11 wins for me to say they're championship caliber, but it's close. If Garrett Nussmeier comes back, if you get a couple of retainments, if you get a couple of big transfer boosts, then I would go out and say LSU should top these odds preseason. But as of right now, with the way that it is, with how early it is, I'll take number 7. I think we should jump in the SEC in terms of being 5th. I don't think Ole Miss or Texas are going to really make a run like people are saying. I'll give Georgia the benefit of the doubt. I would really put it Alabama first. People are writing off Kalen DeBoer. It's kind of a similar situation to what happened with Brian Kelly when he entered the SEC. People are just like, man, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. I think Jalen Milroe is a pretty cool talent. Yeah, had Nick Saban leave. I don't think that carryover is going to be horrible. Kalen was just in a national championship and put Washington on the map. So I think if Penix and that whole development with Milroe pans out, it'll be successful. But, got a lot of football left here to be played. So I think that'll be interesting. Thank you, everybody, for coming into the show. We're right around that 30-minute mark. I do kind of want to talk a little bit about what we'll be doing during the future. Of course, our next stream will be Wednesday at around 11 a.m. We're live right now at 1 o'clock, and that's because of a lot of technology issues. But, going forward, we're going to do it toward the early afternoon, 11 a.m.-ish. Probably get off around, closer to 12. We'll be doing them 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll have daily clips up for you. We'll continue doing the Madden interviews, but we will change them when that College Football 25 game comes out. I'm getting excited for that. The more trailers that come out, the more excitement that grows. It'll be a pretty big summer, and I think end all, be all, we're aiming for a daily content toward the season. We're going to obviously keep covering it the way we have, just probably in a little more depth. We'll probably do a lot more content, a lot more lives, a lot more interactions. If you've missed our Sherman Wilson interview, I'll put a link here, post-production. If you're watching live, of course, I won't be able to do it, but in the next about 15 minutes, I'll put a link up here. You can click it, take a look at the interview, listen to the conversation, let us know what you think. The reaction I've gotten from the Sherman podcast so far has been pretty good, and I've enjoyed the time with him. He's a great dude, and I think he's got a lot of knowledge, and we're going to have some things up our sleeve where, we'll make that a weekly thing. We'll have a reoccurring segment with Sherman coming up. I'll be talking with G Sports here, Jeremiah Gray, shout out. We'll, be getting him on pretty often as well as, the guests that we've been pulling. We're going to do that in a little bit of a different light. But all in all, I just wanted to get y'all ready because, you know, the Verdin Verdict takeover is coming. I think this is the year. You know, we're entering our senior year at LSU, so we can't be a student forever. We got to start gearing for that graduation to try to make that full-time switch. And this is the way to do it. We're going to go live. We're going to make the clips. Y'all, you know, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, like the stream, comment on the stream, share the stream. I mean, help us out. We're going to go on this journey, but, you know, I just wanted to let y'all know what's going to happen and just what to look out for. So a lot more content, 3 streams a day, or excuse me, 3 streams a week. If I could do 3 streams a day, I could, but man, I'd probably be a walking zombie. 3 streams a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m., daily clips, player interviews, a lot more coming. Thanks for watching. This has been the Verdin Verdict Live. Let me know what y'all think. Once again, please like the stream, share the stream. Y'all have a great day.